Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Nice to see all of you. And guys, how are you? Do you have energy for another topic? Yeah? It's not so noisy. Okay. Today I want to share with you the exciting story how we integrate AI into our product. Don't worry, I think we don't have the slide with the code, maybe a little JSON, but don't worry about it. A few words about me. I'm Ilya. I'm engineering manager at Manychat. Last 15 years, I have been working on the PHP projects. And last 5 years, I have been working at Manychat on many interesting projects like developer program, launching some new channels, some core components, event system, and now I'm leading the AI development into our product. But before, please put your hand up if you used AI in some project, maybe pet project, maybe some tools. Oh, okay, good. And please keep your hand up if you used AI in production, in real project. Okay, good, thank you. And today I want to share our story about how we integrated in our product, how we instigate this technology, how we integrate it in our product, what the problem we faced, how we try to solve this problem, and in the end, I want to share some thoughts about the future and my vision of technology. Let's start. And of course, the story begins with the ChatGPT. When OpenAI released the new model GPT-3 and the product based on this model, ChatGPT. And I think we heard about it in previous topic, yeah? And we can just skip. And when OpenAI released the ChatGPT, we start thinking how we can implement it in our product, because it's a really interesting technology. We try to test it, and we remember how it works. Let's repeat, yeah. I have the request. The most famous place is Barcelona. In Barcelona is what the next step we do with the string. We split it into the tokens. Yeah, correct. After that, the next stage, we replace the token by numbers, yeah, vector, embedding, yeah, it's a numeric representation of token. And after that, the LLM magic has happened. And what happened? We can open Playground in OpenAI, and if we send our request, the most famous place in Barcelona is, we can see the variation of next tokens. And OpenAI choose the most probable token there. And after that, repeat it again, until they complete the request. And it's interesting because they provide the open API, and we can use it from API, and we have some parameters how we can manage it. Of course, the most important part is a prompt. Prompts, how we investigate before, it's a fundamental part for generation. We have some another parameters. Do you remember about the temperature? Yeah, okay, let's skip it. And another important thing that really impressed us, that if I send a request and ask return in some format, for example, JSON format, they return the valid JSON. And after our investigation, we realized that, okay, we have technology that handle any text-based request. And it's really impressive, yes? This technology has a great knowledge about the world. And if I try to generate, for example, marketing company for my company, they generate something. And if I receive more, if I send more context about my company, the result will be more accurate. And the last one, they can work with a data structure like JSON. Okay, but the good question, how we can implement it in our product. When OpenAI released, we create a small group and start thinking what we can do with this technology in our product. And I think it's a good time to talk about the Manychat. Manychat is chat marketing platform for building automation in the messengers. Our backend on the PHP, we have 1 million users, and we create 1 billion of conversations. And the main feature in Manychat, we called it Flow Builder. Flow Builder is a visual tool, provide the ability to create a conversation scenario. You can use the block, we call it node, and this node can send the message to the user or receive some data. We have specific node, some action, for example. They can send the, for example, they can save some data or send some information for third-party system, and it looks like a graph with not a link between them. And we start thinking, it's a really good tool, but for some user, it's not easy to work with that because you need a little know about programming, about marketing. And the first our idea is, what if we, using LLM, generate this scenario by description received from user? I should notice that it is not a good idea for first task, but it was really interesting challenge for us. If I faced with some complicated task, I try to solve it in the easiest way as possible. And after that, try to improve it step by step. And the easy way in my plan is, okay, we got the task description from the user. User describe the scenario, how they can. After that, we generate the prompt. We add the task description in the prompt. We add some information about Manychat, about automation, about how build automation. And after that, send in prompt to LLM. After that, we go to the response. We receive the response and generate the automation flow. Easy, yeah? And okay, let's try to write the prompt. I think prompt is the most important part to working with LLM. You spend a lot of time to try find the good words to generate the good result. And some easiest idea that we have, first of all, we should define the behavior of the model and decrease the domain of knowledge of LLM. LLM knows a lot information about the world, and the best way is set up the role. In our case, we want that the model should be like a marketer, and they should create a conversation flow for a chatbot. After that, we add our task description, and we should describe the response format. I found this is the, I think, first our version. We used YAML because we have some limitation on the window, and sometimes the JSON, the response didn't complete, JSON was broken, and we used YAML for that. It's our artifact. We describe the response format and add some rules about how generate this this response. Okay, we realized the first interface for that. We was really inspired by ChatGPT and create the chat interface where ask user to describe the scenario, and after user sends some description, we generate the flow. And we start testing it, and it's worked really good on our examples. But the good question, how real user will use that? And we realized the alpha version and release it for small group of users and start collecting their feedback. And of course, we're faced with the many problems. And some of the technical problem is easy to solve, but some of them is a really challenge. And first of all, it's unpredictable generation result. User describes something in text format, and we generate the result. But how we estimate it's a good result or not? we got the JSON, yeah, and we can validate the JSON. If JSON is invalid, it's a problem, yeah. But how we semantically understand is good result or not, it's a problem. Another thing, we use GPT-3 when they released, and of course it's not so smart model, and sometimes they ignore some rules. We add many information about how generate the scenario, about Manychat, about automation, and in many cases LLM just ignore many rules. And last one, hallucination. We talked about it before, yeah, it's a big problem, and I have two good quotes about it, and I think they really good represent the situation on the current day. And Sam Altman said on some interview, an LLM can provide one brilliant response out of the 1,000, but people expect it to produce brilliance every time. And if we work with the LLM, we should realize we can't receive every time good result. And it's our life. We can't do with that. Sometimes in our day, model becomes more smarter, but hallucinations still happened. Okay, what we can do in this situation? It's really unpredictable and complicated situation. We should some signals. If we're starting to improve something step by step, we should have some metrics to realize these improvements have a good influence or bad. And we can find any other good idea as just ask a user. When we generate some flow, we send it to the user and ask, do you like this result? The problem that if you don't have enough traffic and users don't like to click these beautiful smiles, you don't have enough data, yeah? And we add some additional metrics. For example, we start analyzing if user generate the scenario, apply it, and start using in production, it means that it's good, yeah? And this is another metric. And we add some technical metric, and based on the scope of the metric, we start iteratively improve the result. And the first thing, of course, it's a prompt. We start experiment with the prompt. We have a not bad model, yeah? And we start with the prompt. We simplify the prompt. We remove all unnecessary rules and try to simplify it as possible. After that, we start thinking about the response. Sometimes the JSON response was not how we describe in the prompt. And what we can do in this situation. And we find good hacks. And in some cases, we restore some format. For example, if button return in the another place, we can remove it in the JSON. And it's decreased the count of error that we return to the users. And the best thing that is regenerate the result. Yeah, if we receive something that we realize that it's wrong, yeah, we can regenerate it on the backend side, or we can provide the ability to regenerate for the user. If user don't like it, they can regenerate it. Okay, we improve the prompt size, and after that we have the task description. We have one field when user try to describe what they want to achieve in this scenario. And we start analyzing this request and identify the main use cases. We know that we have some use cases that need most of the users. After that, we split user request into several questions. First of all, we want to know about the context, about the business of user, and it needs to generate the good text. Other thing, we ask about use cases. And as we know the most popular use cases in our platform, we can provide the option to choose these use cases. And in the end, we prepare for each use case the example. If you provide the LLM the example for generation, they generate much better than before. And okay, we improve this and realize the second version of our flow generator. We improve the chat and create the static script scenario for the chat. When we ask some question about business context, about use case, provide some option about use case, ask additional information for some use cases, and start generating. Sometimes we're generating by template if we know use case, sometimes no. And in the end, when we send the result, we ask to estimate and provide the ability to regenerate the result. Okay, and let's summarize it. If you're working with LLM, you should have the quality metrics because they hallucination every time. And if you want to improve it step by step, you should have some signals and you should find these metrics. Another thing is analyze user request. You can hack and improve prompt for specific cases if you know that most users used ask something. Prompt, it's the most important part, and sometimes you can find the good variant realization the prompt. And on the post-processing, we find some abilities to improve the not good results. Okay, after the time, OpenAI released the new version of the model, and in new version, I think it was GPT-3 or GPT-4 or GPT 3.5 Turbo, they changed the API. And I think it's really important because it's not only about change the schema. They replaced the prompt by the messages. Messages is a list of messages that have two fields, role and context. And role, we have system role, and we provide some instruction, role user, where we send user request. And in the response, the LLM generate the answer with the assistant role. And it's really important because they try to understand how use this technology. The good way is to create assistants for some issues. And we start working on the chat scenario and realize that use that we can really improve our chat scenario. Before we ask just a questions, got some answer, and we don't know it's a good answer or not. AI can ask additional questions or ask of any languages, and it's really good. Second good thing, it's a tools. It's a really powerful function that we can use. As I mentioned before, for example, we have problem with data structure. When we ask to generate complicated JSON, sometimes they return the JSON in different formats. In the tools, you can describe the response format, send it with the request, and get the result in the format described in the function. And it's really improved the accuracy of generation the JSON. And based on it, we create a last version of our agent system. We add AI into the chat. AI communicate with the user in the chat, collect some information for generation, and detect some use cases, and provide some ability to choose some option. After that, they start generation, and for generation, we use function call. And it's how it look like. It's a new version of our chat, and this is the generation. Okay, but over the time, OpenAI released the new model, and something changed. Before we used GPT-3. After that, we have new model with more parameters, and they more smart, more Windows context. The speed is higher, and price is lower. And we start thinking how we can use it in the other way. And we realized that in some cases we can replace the scenario by AI agent. In some cases, for example, if you want to collect some information, and based of our experience to create chat for the flow generator, we realized that you can set up the goal, set up some context, and some steps for AI, and they really good can communicate with the users and achieve this result. But I think it's another story. And in the summary, I want to mention that, first of all, AI transform user interface. Chat interface more native and more friendly for the user. And now we have a really great tool to create this interface. And second things, AI provide the powerful tool for creating AI system for specific tasks. We can implement it in our product or for our working task, and it's a really good. And I think it's two things that change the product in the future. It's all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready to answer for your question.
Thank you, Ilya. Yeah, I will come to the guys. Yep. He was the first.
Thank you. Have you tried using other AIs to evaluate the response or the prompts to check if they are good or not?
Mm-hmm. We do this for the agent right now. It's not work so good as I want, but it's work for so complicated thing like scenario. It's not working good. Yeah, we try, but we don't succeed in the flow generation.
Which other AIs did you use? Which models did you use for that?
Now for AI agent, we use anthropic models, and they're much better in estimation of quality. And we try many of them, but most useful for estimation is anthropic model, yeah.
Thank you.
Also the question, maybe you tried something like to apply critic or react prompts, because it would be really useful.
We tried, I think, million changes in the prompt. And some of them work good, some of them not. And emotion programming, emotion prompting, yeah, we use it.
Yeah, hello, it's my name is Alex, it's again me. I have a very interesting question. One of the use cases for chatbots, well, if I am an owner of the business, is asking simple questions about your company. So is there any use cases from your customers about connecting knowledge database to the chat?
Mm-hmm.
And if there is, how do you convert knowledge, this knowledge stored in databases into context for the large model?
Okay, it's a good question. Yeah, now we're working on AI agent, and we have specific type of agent. It's FAQ, we call it FAQ, who answer for the question. And of course, for this type of agent, you should have the ability provide for user to, for example, upload your site with a FAQ page, or upload your goods or some another information. And now we are working on it. We try to implement RAG for this system, but we're in a progress right now. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I'm curious about the chat system. So if you used a memory system to store the chat history, and how do you did that?
It's our handmade system. It's not a big deal. We use databases as Postgre for all our features. we implement some component for our system like a chat, and yeah, it's a handmade thing.
I just like to ask questions.
Okay.
Another question. So, if we are talking about chats, the more we talk with model, the more probability that it starts hallucinating. So, the more you get give context to it, the more probability that it starts going crazy. Is there any automated or semi-automated tools how to check if we are already on the wrong path and we need to restart just the whole talk? Or it's just like, okay, user will decide?
Sometimes they start hallucinating in the beginning and you don't know what you can do with this. We don't have so long scenario. Sometimes we check it, but for us it's not a big problem. If answer for the question, we didn't do with that nothing. Yeah.
Hi. You have automated this scenario building.
Mm-hmm.
So am I right that this was one of the points where the customers of Manychat were actually getting blocked and that you really needed to help them because that was the thing that was keeping your users from using Manychat? Or are there other fields where you want to apply this AI to overcome why people are not using Manychat?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. We have many users on the platform. It's 1 million users, and we have a big audience. And some users, it's professional marketers. And we start with the Facebook channel. And the main audience was marketers. And they really good with the visual programming with our flow builder. But today we have more Instagram users, and it's just entrepreneurs who have their own business. And for this audience, it's really complicated to investigate how work with this technology. And AI, it's really help for this audience, yeah.
It's a nice quote, use AI to level up Instagram users to the Facebook level.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, my name is Dima.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question regarding the cost efficiency, I guess. So as I'm guessing, you're using the API of OpenAI, right? And SDK.
Yeah.
So have you thought about like creating or deploying a database, or not a database, but the LLM locally?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have a slide, but I remove, but I can find a good way where I can add it. We use OpenAI for some reason, and we started a small group. And for us, it's really important to realize how we can improve our product with this technology, or not. Yeah, and we use OpenAI because OpenAI provide the better models. And it's a leader of the market. Second thing is API. We don't think about the infrastructure. We don't need to hire more people for that. Yeah. And last thing, it's a good tools like tools and functional calls and some additional things. Yeah. But we try to use Llama and some other models for specific tasks. And I think now we in the way when we prepare to do our privacy LLM. Yeah. Thank you.
No more questions, right? Okay. Thank you, Ilya. This was nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.